Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and I am joined today by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you, especially considering we are concluding, for the first time, a franchise.
A quartet.
A quartet.
What is it? Is there an official name? Like, we have trilogies.
A quadrilogy.
Is that really what it's called?
I'm guessing so.
That's actually sick. I didn't even put that together. That's way cooler.
Yeah, quadrilogy. We got the last of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, today. And I'm left in a shockingly good spot with Superman 4. Given the previous weeks with Girl and Howard the Duck, Superman 4 on the horizon had been seeming like it would be, according to pretty much everything you read, the worst of the worst among our coverage. But
I don't know how anyone can confidently say that this movie is worse than Superman 3. Or Supergirl. There's no way.
There's no way.
It's not Superman 1 or 2, that's for sure.
Not even close, yeah.
But it's not bad. This was not bad. I'm actually in shock that people hate this movie so much.
Yeah, I am too.
I don't know. Even the crazy parts of the movie weren't really that crazy to me. I don't know. I wasn't really shocked at all.
There's really only one moment in this movie, and we'll get to it, but that I just go,
okay,
what the fuck? But Superman 4: The Quest for Peace was released on July 24th, 1987. It was written. The screenplay was by Lawrence Connor and Mark Rosenthal, with a story by those two and Christopher Reeve. And it was directed by Sidney J. Furie, who didn't have a lot else under his belt of note besides Superman 4 for the rest of his career, or prior to that in his career. I will say, like we kicked off this podcast, I am shocked at how much I enjoyed this movie. I pretty much the whole fucking time I was just kind of I was at the very least having a ton of fun with this movie, and it's an easy messaging to get behind, anti-nuclear war. What's not to like there, You were muted.
Sorry, yes, there was a helicopter going outside my window, and I didn't know if you could hear it or not.
No.
Anyway, but I don't understand how, there are some wacky parts of the movie. I mean, yeah, and what it come out in 87? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's still an 80s movie, so I'm not throwing, it's still cheesy a little bit, whatever. But, I think the hatred is just the people who aren't anti-nuclear. I feel like it's just, they hate the premise of the movie, so they hate the movie itself. I don't think, because there's no way that, critically, you could say, put it below Supergirl or Superman 3.
I really don't think so, especially since we got our mans back. We got Lex Luthor back in the mix. We got Margot Kidder back as Lois Lane in a prominent role in this movie. Now, the gripes I do have with this movie do come from the fact that they just refuse to let Lois know Clark is Superman. I'm just come on now, this is the last movie.
I really thought whenever he was telling her again and doing their whole first date thing again. I thought that was their way of being like, all right, let's just get this over with and have her know from now on.
Yeah,
but then he kissed her again, and I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck? Like they're doing that again?
Yeah, that was the shit that made me go, okay, yeah, that was bad. I didn't but I did all in all really, really enjoy this movie. I think it's a really fun one, and to have the premise be built upon, especially at this time, 1987, in the midst of a potential nuclear crisis, it was very, very timely.
Yeah,
and I thought they did pretty well. It didn't. There was a line they had to toe where it was borderline propagandic, but I still don't think they went all the way over it until the very end, when he's like, "It's not my place. You will be on the brink, and but there will be good people fighting for good." And I was like, okay, we were almost there. That kind of cinched it for us. But
I mean, it's a pretty neutral message, though, is the thing. He's like, if you try for peace hard enough, your governments will forcefully have to give it to you. It's like, you're not really taking much of a stance there. You're just saying, like, hey, if you want peace hard enough, you'll find it. So, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I can't.
No, yeah, it's pretty.
I mean, that's what Superman would have to do, though, in real life. This is the real world. Metropolis, whatever. But, like, they're on Earth. They're talking about a real issue that's in real life. And, like, no, I mean, I don't know. I love that he walks in. What's the building that he walked in? What was that? That wasn't the U? Like, I don't know. Is that in Metropolis?
What? Which one?
Oh yeah, duh. You can't read my mind. Like whenever he spoke in front of all the world leaders, and they were like,
no, I don't think that is in Metropolis. I think he headed out to some sort of conference, maybe the United Nations or something like that.
Yeah. I love how he was like, I don't represent anybody. And then they're like, all right, well, you're going to need a sponsor then. And he turns around to everyone. Like, yup. Like, and okay.
This movie did so fucking well is that I'm left adaptation wise. Yeah, there's a couple spots in this movie where it's like Superman can't do that. Where he just
when he rebuilds the wall of China.
Yeah, like what's going on there? I was just kind of like, okay, sure. But they got the spirit so thoroughly, I think. Anytime when he saves the Russians at the beginning, and he's like, "Do svidaniya," like he speaks in the Russian language and tells them like, "You'll be safer in here. Happy to help." And then later on in the movie when he does it with the Italians and stuff like that, it was very cool to see him speak to people in their language and them be appreciative of who Superman is. It was kind of the first time we've seen him
not American.
Yeah, like for him to go not full blown. I mean, he's got some interesting priorities later on in the movie with the flag on the moon.
Yeah,
he's like, got to put that back up. All right, now I can go help. But
yeah, I think the movie starts out with him saving the Russians, though. I think that's pretty important. Like, if this movie, if they don't involve Russians whatsoever, it's just the Russian bad guy at the end that's just funding, or the one random, I don't know, whatever, the leader. I don't know if that was their dictator or whatever who he was supposed to be. But if that was the only Russian in the movie, I feel like this movie gets way more hate. Than if they, I don't know, I feel like they addressed it very early on. They're like, yeah, look, he's saving Russians too. This is just a movie about getting rid of all of them.
He's being a hero, this is who Superman and that was so important when he did go speak at the United Nations, when he's like, I don't speak on behalf of any country. That is not my aim. And I ultimately love the resolution of this movie, even though my only gripe with this movie is that it so clearly feels like they filmed a movie that was probably about 45 minutes longer than this, and then they were forced to edit it down to an hour and a half. Because if a movie is an hour and 29 minutes, if a movie is right there, an hour and 59 minutes, like Thor: Love and Thunder and all these sorts of movies, that was studio mandated. We want it to be less than this length. the fact that this isn't even like an hour and 34 minutes, they were like, no, get that shit under an hour and a half.
And the thing is, though, is like the first 50 minutes, the first hour of the movie, it feels like it is a 2-hour movie, and that's the pace it's going at. But then, like, once the weird stuff starts happening, basically, it's like, all right, bang, 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 bang.
Villain, man. As soon as they start introducing some sort of villain, it becomes like, it's like, I know y'all had to do something here, but like, did it have to be this? Nuclear Man was an interesting and like, it is interesting. The original conception of this was that he was a bizarro version of Superman. It was going to be played by Christopher Reeve, and they were going to have like a true clone. But then they thought that would be too close to what happened in Superman 3 with the face-off that he had with himself, and they were like, all right, let's just take it a whole new direction. And I gotta think that if the villain's played by Christopher Reeve, it goes a little better.
Just having a villain that just grunts, like, and just screams and just, I don't know, like having a Lex Luthor, having, like a villain who you have a personality behind you, like, yeah, like
that Lex Luthor sicked him on Superman. It's like, because
and
Lex
it's a clone
Luthor
of him, kind of. In a way.
like
it's like that's how they played it. It's like it's made from Superman, but fathered from Luthor.
And it was nice to have Gene Hackman back as Lex Luthor again. I loved him, the whistling Mozart in the yard, and then whenever he gets delivered back to the same place, like, I don't think that's how prison works, but yeah, sure, let's go ahead and just put him right back where he was. They all whistle at him. That was funny.
Yeah, he decided his sentence. He's like, all right, see you in 20 years. Like, Superman took him Superman just skipped the whole process. He was like, fuck it. Well, I guess maybe he just put him back and he was just continuing his term. Maybe
I think so.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Kind of like what they were trying to go for, but no, yeah, there were a few interesting things about this movie. The introduction of the Warfields. This movie had a lot to say on a lot of fronts about journalism and the importance of sensationalism and the propagandic nature of media, along with the like stoking nuclear war via the warmongers who are getting paid for all of it. Like, frankly, I sooner rewatch this movie than I do Superman 3, Supergirl, Howard the Duck, or Batman 66. Like, I think the only two that I really hold above this movie are Superman 1 and 2, which is kind of crazy. Like, I certainly did not expect it. I
don't know. After Superman 3, I was like, all right, let's just get through it. I wasn't expecting horrible, but I was expecting just something along the lines of Superman 3. And I'm coming out of this one like, yes, I think it's very clear that Superman 1 and 2 are better. But like, I think Superman 4 is closer to Superman 2 than it is Superman 3.
Interesting. Okay, I can dig that. Yeah, I'm left in a place where I'm just surprised at how well this movie resonated with me, and it is because of the messaging. I think that all in all, it's more the idea of this movie than the execution of the movie that really, really gets me there. Because again, it is the spirit of Superman that they brought to life really effectively here. The idea that he would want to rid the Earth of nuclear weapons, and at the behest of a child who wrote to him begging him to do something about it, like, that's all really, really cool. Like, that's exactly what I kind of want out of my Superman stories. And in the lowest lane of it all, the semi love triangle with what was it, Lacey Warfield? Is that what her name was?
I think that sounds right. Yeah, I keep the IMDb pulled up. That sounds right.
Yeah, Lacey Warfield. That was an interesting little touch. The double date where he had to play both Superman and Clark. It's like, at some point, at the very least, Lois has to realize Like, Lois is not a dumb person, you know? And I thought they were getting there whenever she visits him later when he's sick.
Man, that would have been nice if she did figure it out on her own and they just carried it on from there.
Yeah. Like, and she goes like, and if you see him, like, she talks to him like he's Superman, but doesn't make that leap. And it's like, come on now, just let Lois know you're Superman. Let's just get this shit out of the way. Because Lois can handle herself. You're always there to protect her. Like, come on now. You protect her all the time anyway. Let's not kid ourselves. Anyone who wants to get at Superman knows they can get at Lois Lane anyway. You might as well just date her.
Yeah. It's not fair. Have to love all of humanity, not one.
Not just one.
Not fair. Now let me wipe your memory.
Yeah. Oh my God. And the that part of the movie where he's sick is one of those parts of the movies that really, really could have benefited from fleshing out a little bit extra screen time. Because he's just sick as fuck. Then the next time we see him, he's withered away. He's an old man.
On the brink of death.
Like, what the fuck happened there? Then the next time we see him after that, he's just fine. And he's standing outside of the Empire State Building. And it's like, wow, okay. There was very clearly a good 30 minutes of storytelling that probably got lost to the cutting room.
Definitely. I bet it's the last remaining power crystal, whatever. He had to use that in order to save him. And like, it showed him putting it in, but then the next shot was just him okay. Yeah. And like kind of all good. So like, I bet like he had a conversation like, or wait, no, we did get a conversation with some Kryptonians,
higher dimension, like higher power.
And that was after he was feeling good again, right?
Yes, it was.
Wait, what? Hold on. I thought he used the power. Wait,
before. It was when they first introduced the idea of what that crystal was.
Okay. So we don't know how he used the crystal. We just know that he used the crystal to heal himself, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. That was
man.
All.
I bet there.
And it was like a one-time. And it was like a one-time thing. That's how the crystal worked.
I bet there was something like way like. I bet that's the deleted stuff. Is him using it probably like, back at it. What's the Fortress of Solitude? Is that what it's called? The Fortress? I don't know why it didn't sound right at first. But like, I bet like when he uses it, like he has a conversation with his parents maybe, and he's like, I have to intervene. Like, you know, like I can't let this just go on. Like I can't not do anything. I don't know.
It felt like we got a lot of stuff that would have been like actual emotional storytelling for his character in that part. That probably got nixed a little bit. And to have spent so much time on Lois and Superman in this movie without any resolution there at all was very interesting as well. But nevertheless, I still find myself in a place where I did really, really like the movie. You know, that last battle where the nuclear man is just, he's like, take me to her. And he's like, no, stop. I won't do that. No, stop that. Okay, fine. You win. I'll take
whatever.
You.
Oh, don't run in this dark elevator, you idiot.
Yeah. And then the genius move to just go ahead and set him on the moon. Like, that doesn't get any sunshine ever.
There's literally a dark side of the moon, too.
Yeah.
Like, you could have put him on the other side where the sun wasn't about to be in a little bit. Or, I don't know. Maybe, like, sealed up the elevator in some way. Or buried it. You know, I guess he literally, Nuclear Man hammered Superman into the moon.
Like he was a fucking steak.
And that last little step, the last little, just is completely sinking him in. Man.
Fucking fantastic. I love that this movie forgot humans can't breathe in space.
Yeah, dude. He took her up there. She was totally just fine. That's what money can do, though. Nope. She's rich. That's her superpower.
Sure. Yeah, I was just like, that was when I texted you, like, so you're probably still at a point in this movie where you think this is really good, and
Yeah, I'm like, how is she up there right now? I'm like, no way they're in space, and then they zoom back and Earth is all the way the fuck over
Yeah,
there.
like she is in space. She's not like upper atmosphere. No, like she should be frozen and dead. The part where he froze Superman and with the freeze breath and stuff, like, see, like that's the thing, is that it was super campy and super fun to watch. Like it had charm at the very least. It's not like it was, because the end of Supergirl, that's kind of what I'll compare it to, because the end of Supergirl was like, it wasn't good. It had like very, very little, charm. I can't find a better word for it. Like, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and do all this, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but this movie, it felt like at least the story was maintained, like at least we didn't have some sort of demon monster who came out of fucking nowhere, who all of a sudden we've got to defeat. No, it was like a relatively contained story, and I really, really dug that.
Yep. I really don't know what they were thinking with that. Like, a movie created to, not even based on any comics, they were just like, fuck it, let's do this, see how this works out. But no, having it just be more contained, even though you have a guy who was born in the sun and created in the sun, but like, then he just comes back to Earth and that's it. It's
fucking
like
detractable nails.
And what? Is it like a poison effect? Like radiation effect? Like what was the?
Yeah, because like it drained him of his power. Like what the fuck was that?
Yeah, like how did it? They didn't really explain. It's just kind of like he scratched him, and I thought like his blades just could cut him. I didn't think that it would like slowly over time, sort of like
diminish his ability to be alive. Yeah, no, like that's the thing, is that this movie is marred with a lot of holes, but it's got a charm to it, and you can tell that like there was a good movie in here. Like, if I truly think that if this has another 30 minutes of screen time, ideally 45 minutes of screen time, but 30 minutes extra would have sealed this as a truly good Superman movie. Like, I think it was a fun Superman movie and it was charming, but I can't honestly tell you I think it was good.
Yeah.
It was just all right. And it did have some basis in comics. I mean, Nuclear Man's not exactly a thing in comic books. However, there has been a nuclear war kind of centric comic issue for Superman, an issue Superman issue number 408, where the cover has Superman in a nuclear wasteland saying they did it, they finally had a nuclear war and nobody survived except me. And that whole issue is kind of him dealing with the idea of nuclear war and what could come of it if it did happen. And pretty graphic imagery in a lot of it, but yeah, like they really did the thing with that book. I really enjoyed that one.
It is such an interesting like concept of kind of like the Hulk, how like the Hulk just outlasts everyone. He's like, the last remaining on Earth in some storylines. Like, just like if humans legitimately drove themselves to extinction, like he would be the last. Like, it's just kind of a cool idea that he would legit just be here on Earth, like by himself, just here. Like, sure. I don't know that. I don't know. I love I don't know why that story arc or that storyline is just so. Like,
it's intriguing, cool because like it's the same sort of idea that makes like Wolverine an interesting character. It's like, if you are immortal, like how do you reckon with the fact that you can't die? Like I've always thought that's always been a really compelling story idea for a lot of superheroes, and Superman obviously has a very obvious weakness in kryptonite, but like once everybody's gone, nobody's going to use kryptonite against him,
True. Yeah. Who is going to use kryptonite against him? There is no one left. See, when was like the Cold War? From 47 to 91. Okay, yeah. So this is like, we're still up in it. Nearing the end though, which is good. I guess maybe, so this is like during a time where people are finally like, maybe nukes are pretty bad, huh?
Yeah.
Like this is because this
Has man
comic issue
ever
came out in
created a weapon?
'85. Yeah.
Has man ever created a weapon they didn't aim to use? Luthen Rael with the realness there, but
Ooh, there we go. Little Andor
a little
reference.
Andor crossover. But that was not the only comic book influence on this movie. We've also got John Byrne's iconic Man of Steel arc, but Man of Steel #5 in specific, not Pacific, where Lex Luthor has created a clone of Superman, which seems to be the jumping off point for this storyline, where they instead went the Nuclear Man route, which is bold. It's interesting. It's an interesting choice, but to each their own. They'll create what they'll create, and that's one comic book storyline I need to go ahead and I need to read all the way through 1 through 6, the Man of Steel, because it's a classic, and I really do like John Byrne's work. I specifically loved his work on the sensational She-Hulk.
Oh wow, this guy here that wrote from '86 wrote She-Hulk, like a She-Hulk story, like I guess writers.
Yeah, the sensational She-Hulk was about the same time as this.
Oh wow! Oh, I thought she was a very new character. I didn't know that she was.
She's pretty well established. I think Stan Lee
shoot.
is actually an original creator of the character.
Fuck! Wow.
Yeah, the Savage She-Hulk, I think, was a '70s comic. It's been a minute that She-Hulk's been around, but
I did not know that. But this art style is way more vibrant, way more cartoony like in this one. I don't know. This one was really fun to read through. I really like this one. Like, I guess coming off of the very dark, the world is blown up, and I'm like very grainy, old, kind of more looking comic, and then to something so colorful.
That's what's cool about John Byrne's work too, is that he writes and he draws. So he did the pencils here, all the outlining. Someone else did the vibrant colors here, but the colors were by Tom Zuko, it looks like, and they really dominated that. But yeah, that's what's cool about John Byrne's She-Hulk run too, is that he did all the art for that, and yeah, he's a talented man with the comic book stuff. But yeah, the Man of Steel #5, another influence on it. Next, we got Adventure Comics #387, where we are introduced to Lex Luthor's outlaw nephew, who is in the comic book story a super abled being, but in this movie we've just got Jonathan Cryer, the drummer. The 2.5 Men fan in me is just like, holy shit, John Cryer.
Wait, what is he in 2.5 Men?
I thought John Cryer was
Is he the? Wait.
Yeah, he's one of the main characters in 2.5 Men.
He's the non-Charlie Sheen guy?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is him.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the same dude?
Yeah, same guy.
Dang, I did not recognize him there. I know him as his Alan in 2.5 Men. Alan Harper. But wow, yeah, I didn't recognize him in the movie.
Yep, that's Lenny. That's Lenny right there. And he also, what's interesting about John Cryer too, is that he goes on to play Lex Luthor in the Arrowverse on CW. He was Supergirl's Lex Luthor. So another nice little pull through to.
That happens a lot with Superman.
Oh, dude, I loved going back to the bag for that, which frankly, I absolutely love those little tidbits like that. That makes that shit so much fun. But yeah, so he goes on to play Lex Luthor, starts here as Lex Luthor's nephew, the ne'er-do-well nephew who is under bad influence. He takes him to the there is no boy who can't be saved. That little school.
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious.
Jeez. Get Luthor to prison and I guess there you go. There's Superman's not supposed to align with any sort of I don't know, he doesn't align himself with anything, but he sends him to the Catholic school or whatever that happens to be, whatever, not just like military school or I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But
True. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting, a nice little homage to the the nephew thing for Lex Luthor. And what's interesting though is that he's actually facing off with Supergirl in that book. That one's not even a Superman centric book. That's a Supergirl centered book. And then lastly, we got Action Comics number 268, which isn't a huge influence on the movie. It's just that the battle on the moon mirrors a lot of what happened in this movie. Which is just kind of cool. I thought that was interesting. You know, a lot of the imagery, Hercules lifts Superman above his head and stuff. It all kind of makes sense. Superman pushes the moon, throws the moon, like there's a lot going on there that kind of lines up. So I just thought that all those were interesting to kind of go along with this movie, and nothing too groundbreaking there in those comic books though. Just some interesting reads.
Yeah, I guess by the fourth movie, I feel like the where it's more fun with the comics is like whenever it's the first of the movie, and seeing like how faithfully they were to the comics, or if not, you know, if they really wanted to strive away from it and create their own thing, that's cool. You know, I'm not against that, but like, it is nice to see like whenever they can make it work, whenever you can pay homage to comics and make it good at the same time.
Well, and I think we'll really get that next week with Batman 89 as, you know.
Which Batman is the actor in this
Michael
one?
Keaton. For
okay,
Batman
so it's
89.
Michael Keaton's. Okay.
It's the first of the modern Batman movies. And that one, you know, we visited Detective Comics number 27 and Batman number 1 for Batman 66. But I will ask that we revisit them for Batman 89 because they're arguably even larger influences on that movie than they were 66. So like that'll be fun ones when we get there. But how about we do some favorites? How you?
Yeah. Already, man, that's the thing. It's very slim picking, kind of a little bit. I was trying to think of another character that's not Superman.
I don't think you can really go with one who's not Superman.
And like, I was gonna say maybe Lex, but like Lex doesn't even really have that much in this movie a whole lot. Like it's just his moments are good, but it's nowhere near his performance that I liked in like the first movie. But yeah, I think character wise, it has to be Superman here for me.
Yeah, I think it has to be the same for me. I think they just captured the spirit of the character so effectively, and I can't confidently give it to anyone else. And I think I got to say the same for the performance. Like I think I got to go Christopher Reeve as Superman once again. Because I mean, Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, always going to be good, but again, not a ton to chew on.
Shout out to Margot Kidder for looking just. She was hot this movie. No, I don't know. Like, she's attractive. She's been good looking in the other movies, but I don't know what happened. Like, she got hotter, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, and this movie's 10 years after the first one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was like her makeup. I don't know. I think it was just the way she was doing her hair and her makeup in this one.
Yeah, she was looking good. You know, it was the 80s, more 80s aesthetic than 70s.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I just got more of a thing for the 80s look.
The 80s hair and stuff, it just really works. I really fucks with 80s hair.
So shout out to her.
Margot Kidder, wonderful looking woman. But maybe
Nuclear Man was Mark Pillow. Is that
Mark Pillow?
Name? Mark Pillow. He's known for Superman 4, Wise Guy in 1988, the year after, and Alaska Kid in 1933. That's all he's in.
Man, he's done some things, huh?
But I mean, good. Dude was jacked.
You know who was a low key great character in this movie was Perry White.
Oh,
I loved Perry White in this movie. You know, I'm just a reporter who, like, who's fed up with your shit. You know, like I'm right. I went to the banks and I told them what's going on, and they loaned me the money to buy you out. And I was like, oh man, you're gonna have to be paying that back for a while, huh?
Yeah.
You bought a newspaper on bank loans.
Eesh. Well, I mean, it was for the. I don't know. That I mean, kind of another character that. Lacey. Lacey was her name. Did we say Lucy?
No, Lacey. We said Lacey.
Okay. But like Lacey's come around on it at first. Like she was very snobby and very yeah, I'm rich, blah blah blah, and like, yeah, it's for the business. It's for do whatever we need, whatever, blah blah. But then like she came around, she was like, no, like what you're doing is wrong, and I don't. That was. Did he? Because I remember at first, I don't know what's the actual business dude's name. The dad, Harry. No, Warfield, Mr. Warfield. Did they just call him Mr. Warfield? They even give him a first name.
David Warfield.
There it is, David. Like at first he was like, I just paid close attention to the ledger and then stole the newspaper, company right underneath him, and then Perry kind of comes back in and does the same thing to him that he did, kind of, in a way, not the same exact thing, but yeah.
Nice little gotcha there on behalf of Perry White, which I really, really dug. But yeah, man, I don't.
Man, favorite scene though. I'm trying to think.
I think favorite scene wise, I think I would go with the double date.
The
antics of that scene. It was just a lot of fun to see him bounce back and forth as Clark Kent and Superman, and I'm out here, Lois, and he's like posted up outside. He's like, yeah, and then getting caught outside the elevator and he like rides the fucking thing the whole way out the door.
Oh shoot!
I also liked them being when Lois came and visited him when he was sick. I thought that was
good. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I do him speaking to the UN at first, like whenever he brings gets Jeremy, picks him up. He's like, hey, you want to take a ride with me? Let's go. And then he like sits him upstairs. He walks in, everyone's all good for him.
You'll need a sponsor. Everyone.
I don't know, it was a feel good. It was like, it got the feel good strings.
And it really effectively showed just how loved Superman is and how loved he should be. I know that there's always fun in the Zack Snyder type Superman ideology where it's like, oh well, he's a god, we should fear him as well. But it's his faith in humanity that he has to level with us. I also just like when they're like, fuck yeah, Superman, you do nothing but good, love that guy. I like that shit.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. If there was a Superman on Earth, I'm not a religious man, but I would become religious. Like I would worship a man like Superman. I mean, fuck. Like,
it'd be hard not to. It'd be like, well, plain to see, those feats that we were saying Jesus did, this man can just do that shit.
Yeah. Like people tell stories of Jesus, but I'm looking at Superman. Like that. I don't know, but it would be nice just to have someone that could just every nuke that's launched. Was he just staying up in the atmosphere all the time? Did he know the nuke launch schedule? Because
I guess he would just go ahead and catch them out of the air and go ahead and throw them on.
So I was thinking, I'm like, how's he actually going to do this? Right? Is he just going to go from military base to military base, literally just pick it up and just blast it to the sun? And then I'm like,
because it's like, at that point, isn't he technically committing acts of war if he infiltrates military bases and takes down their nuclear weaponry?
So my thing is, he's just chilling up there in the sky, or he just hears a nuke go off. I don't know, whatever. But every government that fired a nuke for a test, whatever, it didn't come back down. It didn't explode every time they sent one up. It did not come back down.
Yeah.
And after Superman made the statement of, I'm going to get rid of all of them. Were they just launching all of them because Superman said that?
Maybe so. Maybe it was like, let's help him out. Let's go ahead and throw this on out there for the man.
Like, is that what they were doing? Or was this just nuclear tests that he was interfering with and catching them and, putting them in the net?
That's a good question. I couldn't tell you for sure one way or another exactly.
I would like to think the governments were helping him. I would like to think they were like, all right, 4th of July style, or not, that's in bad taste, not USA style, but like in I don't know, just in
The
ceremonious
spirit of unity.
fashion, let's send them all up. You know, we're not actually blowing up the Earth. I don't know, but I guess maybe that's my favorite shot is him whipping all the nukes around and just launching it towards the sun.
What fucking what's the
yeah, what is that called?
cross country or track and field fucking
Shot? No, not shot put.
not shot put because that's off the shoulder.
What is that called?
Because that's exactly what he did.
Olympic sport.
He did the thing where he like swung it above his head and then threw it. You know, like he spun in circles and then did the perfect form.
Discus, but like it's not discus.
It's not discus either.
In the discus, the athlete stands inside the throwing circle, turns and throws a discus as far as. But in the picture, it's like all of them combined. No.
Yeah.
Hammer throw, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's hammer throw. Yeah, it's hammer throw.
Yeah, hammer. Okay, there it is. Yeah, hammer throw.
Thank God. Yeah, because he did it like the exact same way where he like spun in circles and then he like swung it above his head and then threw it, you know?
Nuclear hammer throw.
Nuclear hammer throw, bro. Oh,
Into
what a
sun.
fucking banger.
Yeah. Bang.
You know, before I do a shot, I'm going to give you a line because it was just like as soon as I heard it, it was so obviously my favorite line of the movie and might be one of my favorite lines from a Superman movie ever. And it's amidst his speech. Like I don't like particularly the line before it, and I don't particularly like the line after it. I like the line right in the middle where he says, "I just wish you could all see the Earth the way that I see it." I fucking love when Superman's a softie about Earth. Like one of my favorite comic panels of all time, because one of my favorite Superman stories of all time is from Superman Red and Blue, and he flies out to space, stops there. It's actually one of my screensavers on my phone. And you see him looking at the Earth, and he says, "I love you." And it looks at his face and it says, "I'm so proud of you." And it's just like, oh, that's so fucking, like, the first time I read it, bro, I was like teary-eyed and stuff. I was like, this is so fucking good. And I felt like that line just really, really captured that essence of, because I love when Superman loves humanity and loves the people of Earth, even though it's not his home planet, it is his found home, you know. And I think it's
I'm not going to say I cried, but like I had a little teary up moment. Like during the UN and during like the end there too when he's speaking to everybody. It's a feel good, like, and one part of my brain I'm like, man, I wish this could actually be real. On the other half, it's like, oh, what, like an actual moment? Like, I don't know, like what a cool moment. And it's I don't know. That's a good line. Fuck. I was trying to think of any line at all. I don't even remember any off the top of my head. Kind of looking through them now, but I don't know. I really enjoyed his whenever he did just speak to the world, even though some of it that he said was a little corny.
I gotta tell you, man, the relief I felt whenever I realized, because there's a shot where after the nuclear man picks up the Statue of Liberty, it looks like he is heading like straight.
I thought the same exact thing, dude.
It looked like he was heading straight for the World Trade Center, and I was like, no.
I'm like, when this movie come out? And I'm like, yeah, definitely not 2001. And I'm like, no way this is happening, right? I'm like, no.
I can't tell you how thankful I was whenever he just dropped it in front of the Daily Planet.
I
was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
And this actually has like an interesting discussion behind it. Now that we have the ability to like Photoshop, like if we wanted to, we could remove the World Trade Center from old movies. Like remove it completely. And would it be better to have a New York City with no World Trade Centers, like them photoshopped out, if the movie came out before 2001? Would it be better if they're photoshopped out, or is it better to leave them in? Is it like in bad taste to Photoshop them out?
I think it's better to leave them in. I like they existed. There's no reason to wipe them from history. It's just
That's
that
fair.
like
Yeah.
if there is some sort of movie that I have no like, if that was what was going to happen with the Statue of Liberty, there's no reason for that part of the movie to exist. Like it should have been wiped if that's what was going to happen.
Man, what does it say that both of our brains went? Like, I mean, it was immediate. It was.
They panned out and they showed him flying with the fucking Statue of Liberty, and the Twin Towers were just on the left side of the screen, and I went, no. And I was very thankful because I was almost like, no fucking way.
I really thought for a second, like, there's no way they actually do that. Well, I guess they wouldn't see it as, it would just be, I don't know.
It would just be like an unspeakable evil.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's insane.
Oh yeah. So I'm glad it didn't happen like that. That would have been a tough one to talk about. But
what a way, him putting it back down though, just plopping it back, like he gets like thrown, like hit at the last second, so he literally like throws it at the end, and it just perfectly like bang, just sets like perfectly back down where it was supposed to go.
I might actually change my scene to one that we haven't talked about yet. It's back in Smallville at the very beginning of the movie. Whenever the dude's like, we could just sell this land, and he's like, no, I want a farmer to buy this land. And like, I loved that he was staunchly just like
I'm not selling it. I'm not letting them build a mall or a shopping center or whatever, like is what he said.
You don't need another, I loved that shit. I was like, oh, that's so Smallville of him. That's so
and
cute.
the bank guy like playing ball with him, being nice, and then he immediately is like, well, that's my final answer. I'm not selling it. He goes, well, then you're as blinded as your father, and you suck, and I'm going to go away now. He's like, I don't know. This is really funny how fast he turned on him.
That fucking baseball into space.
Boom! Would have been funny if that came back around. Like,
like all the way
Nuclear Man or something like that. Yeah, like hit Nuclear Man like later on in the movie, like at the very end.
Yeah, what a flick, man. What a flick. One of my I've been talking a lot about how I really, really like a lot of the choices in this movie, but one of the absolute worst things I've ever heard sound design wise and editing choices was at the very beginning when he's saving the cosmonaut. There's like this foreboding score while the dude's like floating away, and then they just very abruptly change it to the Superman theme as he's flying out there, and then change it back to the music that was playing before. And it's like, oh man, that was just...
Wow. What about in the classroom where Jeremy was, where it was like the clearest voiceover work of all time, like the teacher that was talking and the other student, like it just did not line up at all, like whatsoever. Like what happened there? Like why did that? I'm confused as to why that happened. Like,
sometimes
did the microphone just not work in that classroom, and then they were like, fuck, now we have the film, but we just don't have the audio. We just gotta record the audio? Or were they like, we don't like the voice of this teacher and this student, so let's get some voice actors to fill it in?
Right. Or, yeah, I couldn't tell you. It was just, you never know with those sorts of with those sorts of like voiceover things, the way they plug shit in. I never know. But I think I will settle on a favorite shot, and I'm stuck between two.
Okay.
I like the one where he picks Lex Luthor and Lenny's car up at the end, because it so very perfectly matches the like Action Comics #1 where he's lifting up the car. I feel like that was a very clear homage.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, that's cool.
But then the one that I want to go with, I think, just because it's the spirit of the character, is when he's walking with all the kids towards the UN and like the crowd of people is following him. I really, really loved that. I thought that was really cool. And again, love his Superman suit. Like I really do think so far you know, there's merit to all the different Superman suits, you know, but I love the homemade like vibe to the Superman suit that he wears, and looks fucking great in it, Christopher Reeve. So,
would you like the compared to the modern Superman suit, like Man of Steel? You prefer this suit than that one?
Yeah, you know, I think it. That's the thing, is that they work in just different contexts. You know, the idea that Henry Cavill's Superman suit is like from Krypton, that's why that suit works. You know, like the way it looks like that. Like, yeah,
True.
that's an alien ass suit. The way that Christopher Reeves looks like a homemade, campy 70s suit. I think it's just a personal preference thing. And you know, like I would love to see Henry Cavill in the Christopher Reeve suit, but you know, I couldn't see Christopher Reeve in the Man of Steel suit. I think it just works very specifically for the Superman who is wearing it, you know.
I might have found my favorite line, and it's solely because of the delivery of the line.
Oh, I gotta hear it.
And it is when the Nuclear Man came back on the street, and he's like, "Where is she? Where?" And then he starts shooting around, and Superman goes, "No, stop! Don't do it! The people!"
Yes!
he the people!
That was one of the moments where I was just like, is Christopher Reeve a good actor?
Like, or was he acting that way because the plan was to get him inside and close him in the elevator?
Oh, maybe he was. Maybe he was just egging him on. The people.
Yeah, I think that's what.
Yeah, that shit was so funny. I remember thinking like that's gonna be a favorite line.
Like he like literally like almost like got down on two knees and put his arms in the air too. He literally was like, oh, like so distraught too. Like, yeah, he was so.
God, that was so funny.
The people. But yeah, on IMDb, it's funny. It's Nuclear Man. Where's the woman? Give it up. You'll never find her. If you will not tell me, I will hurt people. And then in brackets,
just what the fuck did Nuclear Man want with Lacey Warfield?
I think he literally, it was one of the first women that he saw on the planet, and he's like, oh, ooga booga. And he's like, I want you. Okay. It's kind of like a Selena seeing the guy, the off-brand Tom Cruise, and being like, you will be by my side when I rule the world. I think it's
Cruise. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's how he is retroactively referred to on this
I
pod.
have no idea his character. Yeah, what his name is.
Either. He's just off-brand Tom Cruise. But
in brackets, it just says, Nuclear Man begins to cause mass destruction. And then the line of Superman saying, stop, don't do it, the people. I just love it. It's like, he literally, like, why did Superman let him do that, though? He let him kill so many people. Like, so many people had to have died right there. He blew up so many cars. He started so many fires. Like, dude started just wrecking shit. And all he could do was, oh, the people. But yeah. There's I guess that's where I'll settle on the line.
Though. Oh, I love it. I love it. What a fucking movie, dude. And you know, I'm sitting here and I'm surprisingly high on it, you know. Like
that's the thing. Yeah. And I don't know. Let's see. Superman 3 was a 4.5. I guess do we want to get into there? You know, the rating?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hit the rating section. Let me lay it out for the people. We got 4 different ratings. We've got the enjoyment rating, which is just completely subjective, how much the movie is resonating with us on a personal level. We give that a rating out of 10. We've got genre rating, and this is it's how well it fulfills its genre, and I'd say this one's pretty much just action adventure, maybe even a little bit of a political movie.
Yeah,
action adventure feels more fitting. Action adventure sci-fi, and then we got adaptation rating, which is just how well they adapted the stories from the comics that came before it, how well they captured the spirit of the character and the villains and stuff, and how well they portrayed it on screen. You know, we wanted adaptation to be separate from our enjoyment and separate from our critical rating because, you know, there are good movies that are bad adaptations, and there are bad movies that are good adaptations. So it's not always the same, not always in the same boat. So we wanted to give adaptation its whole separate rating. And then lastly, we got critical rating, which is just all in all the things that go into filmmaking, acting, direction, writing, score, all those things come into play. And that's where we get objective, give that a rating out of 10. We take the average of these 4 scores, and it becomes our rating for the movie. So, shall we begin with enjoyment?
We shall. And looking at our older ones, so Superman 3 was a 4.5, and Batman 66 was a 5. We said Batman 66 was about middle of the road.
I'm gonna go gut. My instant feeling was like 6.5.
So about a little bit more than Howard the Duck.
Yeah. I'd revisit it sooner than I would Howard the Duck.
Definitely. Oh yeah, but
well,
not
that's
Superman.
It's not the way we talked about Superman 3 is that, like, if I was on a Superman binge watch and I watched Superman 1 and 2, might as well watch 3. Fuck, I might just skip 3 and go straight to 4.
Yeah, honestly.
Like, I really like 4. I really enjoy watching this movie. You know, I don't want to say really, really like because it's not entirely accurate, but it was more than solid, and I'll probably revisit it. You know, like I had a really good time watching this movie.
Yeah, I think 6.5 works well. I think that because I can't give it a 7. I can't put it on the same level as Superman 2.
No, I can't. I cannot confidently tell you that I liked it as much as I liked Superman 2.
But as far, 6.5, sitting right so far, I think, which is crazy. Would not have thought that at all.
No, and I have a feeling. I have the distinct feeling that will probably be the high point of this rating.
Fair. I guess genre-wise, it didn't do like
it didn't do terrible,
bad.
but it didn't do great. I don't think. I think that the action in this movie was fun, but it wasn't. I take the action in Superman 2 and 3. Like I'd even take the action in 3 more than I would take the action in this. I think the way they kicked off the movie with the car filling up with water and stuff, and Gus Gorman falling.
I thought Aquaman was in that movie because of that, dude.
Yeah,
Can you? That car just spontaneously started filling up with water. To me, that's how it happened. So I'm like, here's Aquaman. But no big connected universes quite yet. Just the quadrilogy, with a little feature of Supergirl too. Maybe a quintology.
Quintology.
It's kind of like a Supergirl was kind of like a Rogue One compared to Star Wars. It's just kind of like it
was literally 3.5, so it would literally be Rogue One. So
I didn't even really mean to do that. Wow. Exactly. Okay, there we go.
I do think this movie knew what it was a little bit more than Superman 3 did, though. I think this movie did almost exactly what it set out to do. I just think that I'm willing to guarantee studio heads really, really fucked this one. Again, a movie being produced by a massive media company that is critiquing the media and critiquing the war machine of the United States and of the world. The rich people who run that movie company are probably not super fond of a lot of the stuff in this movie. I'd be willing to bet a lot of stuff got left on the cutting room floor, but genre-wise, I still find myself thinking it knows what it is far more than Superman 3 did.
Okay. So that's.
I think I might come down at about a 6.
About tied with Batman 66.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds about right. It's not like I think where does it suffer on the superhero-y, action-y? I think
the stuff in space is it's a struggle, I did not have fun watching, and the fact that it really is 20-ish minutes of an action sequence starting on the ground there and then taking it up into space. I think it was just a bit much, especially considering that this movie is only an hour and a half. I didn't feel like they cut any of that fight, which is ridiculous. If there was anything from this movie you needed to cut down on, it was that fight.
Yeah. No, but I think
that said, I might go a little lower.
Okay.
Like 5.5.
I think that might be more fair. Because Batman 66, it knew it was a funny movie. Like it was a comedy, and it knew that. The way, they focused way more on that. And this, I think, like genre, it's basically like how well or how much they knew what they were doing. But I think the execution of it also like matters. It's not just critically like where the execution comes in. I think like it matters how well they actually performed the superhero duties of a movie. And yeah, the action just wasn't quite there. The villain was again just kind of weird. But a little bit, I'd say, just that little edge above Superman 3, though, is fair. So, at 5.5.
Alrighty.
Works for me.
Adaptation-wise, I'm left in a pretty solid spot. Nuclear Man not being a comic character does kind of hurt it a little bit. But I think they got the spirit of Superman even more than Superman 3 did. I think that Superman was as, like, the way Superman was in this movie is how I would like Superman to be. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think that it kind of recaptured what we were getting out of Superman 1 and 2. It just didn't have the means to expand upon it a lot. So, I think I fall probably again at about a 6.5, maybe a 7.
Did it do as well as Superman 2, do you think?
No, I can't confidently say it did. We got General Zod and stuff in that movie.
True.
It was,
yeah.
It was, at least the villain was comic book based. We got the return of Lex Luthor and stuff, but the activation of Nuclear Man, I think 6.5 is a fair place to slot it in.
Right in between
Superman 3 and Superman 2.
That's perfect. That does work out well. Bang. Okay, there we go. Now, this is interesting here, critically.
Given our previous scores, I have no choice but to go with a 4. Maybe. I think 4. I think 4. It's not. It had the bones, but it couldn't get there. Like it was.
Yeah.
It had the means to be a good movie. It just felt like it was hindered, useless on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, there's no way. Like it's not really middle of the road.
No, it's not an average movie. It is a below average movie, as far as the filmmaking side of things is concerned. The direction doesn't stand out. The writing is a little lackluster. We were poking holes all over this bitch earlier in the podcast. The visual effects, I don't even think the flying in this movie was as good as it was in Supergirl. Like that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That is weird. The flying looked so good, like before. I don't know how like they messed it up, unless it's just simply because they have to do more of it.
Right.
Like they just have way more flying shots than they used to. But yeah, I think 4 is fair. What does that shake it out to be? Let's see. It makes it Superman 4. Oh, it's not in there. 4. 5.63. So about a 56%.
Right.
A little bit above. Okay. Yeah, the enjoyment, yeah. And adaptation, that's yeah. Everything was a little bit above middle of the road besides critically, and that was it. And that makes sense.
Really, really hindered this movie.
So where does that? Let's see, 5.63. That puts it above Batman 66, but below Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is a 5.75.
All right, so like a 58% compared to a 56%.
So pretty equatable, actually.
Yeah,
Pretty
not
equivalent,
too far,
I'd say.
not too far removed from each other. But where do you have this movie in your personal rankings? Like, what would you label
Like
this
so
movie?
far,
Yeah.
as far as the project goes.
As far as the project has come.
Superman 1 is by far still the best. That's without a doubt. And I think Superman 2 follows. I think I'm kind of at like a tied for third. Like Howard the Duck, Superman 4, and Batman 66 are all kind of just around the same. You have to be in a mood for each of them, I feel like. And they're both all just kind of good-ish movies if I need a random movie to watch like at the time.
Yeah, right.
And then Superman 3 and Supergirl is where I can actually say, like, I don't know if I enjoyed this actually. Like, I don't know if I want to go back to that. So I feel like Superman 1, that's in a tier by itself right now. Superman 2 is kind of comfortably in second. And then the 3, Howard the Duck, Superman 4, and Batman 66 are in that weird kind of tied for third realm.
I get you. Yeah, I have Superman 1 at 1, Superman 2 at 2. I'm gonna go firmly Superman 4 at 3.
Okay.
I just think I would confidently revisit it before I would Howard the Duck or Batman.
True.
Howard the Duck at 4, Batman 66 at 5, Superman 3 at 6, and Supergirl at 7.
I will in those 3, Howard the Duck, Superman 4, and Batman 66. If there is one that is above the rest, it would be this movie. I'd say like Howard the Duck might have been able to get there. I don't really know what it could have improved on to. I don't know what it really needed to get there necessarily, but this movie just like could have just so obviously benefited from just a little bit more time. Like just a little bit more time with the characters, some other storyline, I don't know, introduced, whatever they cut out. Would have helped a lot here, but I guess we got what we got. Do you know if there is a director's cut of this one?
I don't believe there is. Not one that's been released widely, but I feel like it's one that could have actually benefited from it. I feel like this one's just missing some elements that were almost certainly posed as and probably filmed at some point, you know? I dig that Christopher Reeve had a hand in crafting the story. I feel like that comes through a little bit, you know. I think that he knew what he wanted Superman to be, and I think he got to do it more than he had in previous movies here. It just didn't have the screen time to pull it off as effectively as they would have liked to.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. I'm curious to see if like a 5-6, like a middle of the road movie, if that will be near the bottom, or if that's like actually middle of the road. Yeah. Which I think movies will tend to be more middle of the road or higher. Just strictly off enjoyment and adaptation, I feel like those two categories will in genre. If it's like I don't know, it critically is really the one where it can get low very easily. I think, but I guess adaptation can get pretty low.
I mean, Supergirl was down horrendous. That's still 20% lower than every other movie we've got so far. At a 34% overall.
Yeah.
Which is like it's just a bad movie, you know, like, and I have a feeling that will not be the last bad movie we encounter. Bad and unenjoyable, you know. I think that, you know, there are a lot of movies that have charm and are fun to watch, but are bad. It will be more rare for us to find movies that are bad and have no charm and are not fun to watch. Like there will be a few, but hopefully they're few and far in between.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I was just genuinely shocked at how much I enjoyed watching this movie. Yeah. I expected it fully to be far lower than
this is way better than
ended up being.
Way better. than I thought it was going to be. And it's
Hell
still
yeah.
about middle of the road-ish. Just a little bit more. Just a little tick above.
Yeah, 56%. Not bad. Not bad. But with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/pennybloom_pod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including comic book reviews, book reviews, and all sorts of movie reviews. If we're currently covering, what day is this coming out? February 17th? I believe that just today, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is released.
No way! I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I know. I'm so
today,
excited.
I can't wait to go to the theater. Watch it today.
I'm so excited. I think I might have even saw it last night. I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Actually, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, Kang. What's not to like about Jonathan Majors? But more on that on patreon.com/pennybloom_pod. That's where all of our current comic book coverage will be happening until it comes up in this project for the main show. So it'll be a couple years down the line that we talk Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But next week for this project, you can expect Batman 1989, where we will be joined by Blaine Rizach, who is a co-host on DCEU on repeat and MCU on repeat. He's a long-time friend of the pod, and we're longtime friends of their pod as well. Repeat Studios, very cool people over there. And Blaine, I'm excited to have Blaine on next week for Batman 1989. If you would, head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to keep up with us on our Game of Thrones rewatch podcast. Winter is blooming. We've made it. We're making some progress. You got to go check that out. Rewatch Game of Thrones with us. Hell yeah! I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. Remember to come back next week for Batman 1989. And lastly, remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I just wish you could all see the earth as I do.